10th video for your syllabus. Pronunciation and clarity. Make sure you're clear, that I can understand you. And some of you are from other countries, and I will tell you to take pronunciation classes. You know, like I'm teaching a pronunciation class online this semester. It's Communication 076, and if you can get into it, fine. But if you can't, why then take it another time. Go to ESL, take classes at ESL so you have good pronunciation, especially if you're staying in this country. I do not grade on your pronunciation. I will grade on, if I can't understand you all the way through, I might say, well, I couldn't understand it. But clarity is what we who were born and raised with a language, or we who have a really good command with a language, you know, you may not have been born with a language, but you have a real good command with it. Well, open your mouth. Don't talk like this. You know, if you talk like this, then you don't have good clarity, and I will have a hard time understanding you. You look like a ventriloquist, and I keep looking for the dummy right next to you. Where's the dummy? Okay, so open your mouth and articulate. And I may even say that to you when I grade you. You know, you gotta open your mouth and you have to articulate all those words for me to understand you as an audience member. All right, let's see. What else? For pronunciation and clarity, that is all. It says here, I teach a face-to-face class, COM 076, not COM 079, 076, which is a speaking class to help you with your pronunciation. I'm going to change that right now. I don't know why I put that 9 there instead of 76. Okay, now let's go to enthusiasm or energy, either one. That's important. That's how you're selling yourself in this speech. So make sure you have good energy or good enthusiasm, because I'll be grading on that. That's why I said don't read your whole speech, because then you'll probably lose energy or enthusiasm. And don't memorize your whole speech, because you'll probably lose energy and enthusiasm, okay? Or enthusiasm. They mean the same thing, energy or enthusiasm. Volume or loudness. Make sure you have good volume so that I can hear you on this. Don't get too far away from this, because then I can't hear you a lot of times. Get in close so that the mic will pick you up and you have good volume. Good energy, good volume. Good energy, good volume. Don't have a monotone voice. This is what a monotone voice is. I'll try and give it to you. I'll read this. I'll read what is in the syllabus, and you'll hear what I've written in a monotone voice. Use a visual aid. I grade heavily on this in your first 2 speeches, in addition to the other things mentioned above. The first 2 speeches are visuals, so you must use visuals extensively in those speeches. If you demonstrate something, do you see how boring I am? I hope I'm not a boring instructor and you just go to sleep on these visuals. Okay, so don't use a monotone voice when I'm grading you on energy or enthusiasm. All right, next thing, use of a visual aid. I grade heavily on that, especially on your first or your second 2 speeches, your demonstration speech and your informative speech. I grade heavily on those. Okay, I wrote down the first 2 speeches are visual. No, it's your second and your third. Your second and your third speeches are visual, and I grade heavily on that. So make sure that your demonstration speech and your informative speech, you use those visuals really well. You are demonstrating the visuals. You're demonstrating something in your first demonstration speech, and you're using the visuals, either a picture or a graph or a chart, or a lot of pictures on your informative speech. Don't use just one picture on your informative speech. Use many pictures so that you'll have a lot of pictures. Because remember, half of your speech is using the visuals, half of your speech is demonstrating, so you gotta have a lot of visuals for that informative speech if you're going to use pictures or graphs or charts. And then explain what I'm seeing there. Use those visuals extensively in those speeches. If you demonstrate something in your first speech or your second speech effectively and use visuals effectively in your second speech, they will favorably affect your grade for those two speeches, your demonstration and your informative speech. I'm a visual person. I love visuals. I didn't ask you for your first speech to use visuals on your family's speech, but if you have visuals, go ahead and use them. Make sure they're big enough to see. But I will not grade down on that because I didn't ask you for visuals. The only time I grade on visuals is for your second speech and your third speech, the demonstration and your informative speech. But if you use visuals effectively on all your other speeches, whether it's your first or your fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh, and they help your speech, then I will grade up on it, but I will never grade down on it because visual aids aren't required for those speeches. Okay, so they are only required for the demonstration speech and for your informative speech, and I grade heavily on it. So if I say to you on your informative and your demonstration speech, that wasn't much of a demonstration or that wasn't much of a visual that you used, and then you do well on everything else in the speech, you have good energy, you have a good intro, you have a good conclusion, and I give you a C grade for it, and you can look at, again, what is a C? And I give you a C grade on it, and you say, well, why the hell did I get a C grade when he says I did well on everything else except for the visual? Well, the visual or the demonstration is the biggest part of those two speeches, and I grade heavily on them. Just as I grade heavily on, your energy. When you demonstrate or when you show your visuals, you have to have good energy, good enthusiasm. So make sure that you do that for that visual aid. Just have fun with those. Okay, so I've told you all of that. So now let's go to the next video.